Breaking news from the deepest layers of human history reveals a truth often overlooked. Civilization did not appear suddenly, nor was it inevitable. It was the result of countless small adaptations made by early humans struggling to survive in an unpredictable world. Around 300,000 years ago, anatomically modern humans emerged in Africa, living as hunter-gatherers who depended entirely on nature. These early communities learned to control fire, craft stone tools, and communicate through developing forms of language. These innovations were not signs of luxury, but of necessity. Fire provided warmth and protection, tools improved hunting efficiency, and language allowed knowledge to be passed from one generation to the next. This slow accumulation of skills marked the earliest foundations of civilization. For tens of thousands of years, human life remained nomadic. Groups moved with the seasons, following animals and edible plants. But around 10,000 BCE, a major global shift occurred that would redefine human existence forever. Known today as the Agricultural Revolution, this transformation saw humans begin to domesticate plants and animals. Wheat and barley were cultivated in the Fertile Crescent, rice in East Asia, and maize in the Americas. This change allowed people to settle in one place for the first time. Permanent settlements emerged, populations increased, and the idea of owning land and resources was born. With agriculture came surplus food, and surplus created opportunity for specialization, trade, and social hierarchy. As settlements grew larger, the first true civilizations began to appear. Mesopotamia, located between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, is widely considered the cradle of civilization. Here, the Sumerians built organized cities, developed irrigation systems, and created the earliest known writing system, cuneiform. Writing transformed society by enabling record-keeping, laws, and historical memory. The Code of Hammurabi later formalized justice, showing that governance was becoming structured and centralized. Civilization was no longer just about survival, it was about order. At the same time, ancient Egypt rose along the banks of the Nile River. Predictable flooding made agriculture reliable, allowing Egyptian society to flourish for thousands of years. The Egyptians developed advanced knowledge of engineering, mathematics, and medicine, most famously demonstrated through the construction of the pyramids. Religion played a central role in daily life, reinforcing the authority of pharaohs who were believed to be divine rulers. This fusion of faith and power became a defining feature of early civilizations. Elsewhere, equally advanced societies were taking shape. The Indus Valley civilization, located in modern-day Pakistan and India, astonished historians with its planned cities, grid systems, drainage networks, and standardized construction. These features suggest a high level of organization and civic responsibility, even though much of their writing remains undeciphered. In ancient China, early dynasties formed along the Yellow River, developing agriculture, metallurgy, and early political systems that emphasized harmony and order. These civilizations evolved independently, yet shared common traits: urbanization, governance, religion, and innovation. Trade soon connected these early societies. Goods such as metals, textiles, grains, and precious stones moved across regions, encouraging cultural exchange. Along with trade came conflict, as competition for land and resources intensified. Warfare emerged as a tool of expansion and defense, leading to the creation of standing armies and fortified cities. Social classes became more defined, separating rulers, priests, artisans, farmers, and laborers. Inequality became an embedded feature of civilization, shaping human societies from the very beginning. By the end of this early period, humanity had crossed a critical threshold. People were no longer merely reacting to nature, they were reshaping it. Forests were cleared, rivers redirected, and landscapes transformed to support growing populations. This era marked the true birth of civilization, complex, fragile, and powerful. The systems created in this ancient world, governments, laws, religion, and technology, would become the blueprint for all societies that followed. What began as a survival strategy had evolved into organized human civilization, setting the stage for empires, revolutions, and the modern world itself. As human societies grew and stabilized, the world entered a period of unprecedented expansion and complexity. The simple city-states of early civilization gave way to empires that controlled vast territories, populations, and resources. These empires were not just political entities, they were laboratories of human innovation, experimentation, and influence. One of the earliest examples was the Persian Empire, which stretched from the Indus Valley in the east to the Mediterranean in the west. Its sophisticated administrative system allowed distant provinces to be governed efficiently, while roads and communication networks connected cities across thousands of miles. The Persian model of governance, including taxation and local autonomy under a centralized authority, would influence future civilizations for centuries. Meanwhile, in Greece, a very different kind of civilization was emerging, one built not solely on conquest but on ideas. The city-states of Athens and Sparta became centers of philosophy, mathematics, literature, and science. Thinkers such as Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle questioned the nature of existence, morality, and governance, laying the intellectual foundations of Western civilization. Democracy, as practiced in Athens, allowed citizens to participate directly in decision-making, introducing a radical concept that would inspire governments millennia later. Greek culture spread far and wide, particularly through the conquests of Alexander the Great, whose empire connected Greece, Egypt, Persia, and parts of India, creating a fusion of cultures and ideas known as the Hellenistic world. At the same time, Rome was rising from a collection of city-states to dominate the Mediterranean world. The Roman Empire was remarkable not just for its military might but for its infrastructure, law, and social organization. Roads, aqueducts, and ports facilitated trade and communication across vast distances. The codification of Roman law provided a framework for justice and governance that has echoed into modern legal systems. Rome absorbed and adapted ideas from the civilizations it conquered, blending Greek philosophy, Egyptian religion, and Etruscan engineering into a uniquely Roman identity. The concept of citizenship, a structured bureaucracy, and the notion of an empire as a unifying force over diverse peoples became defining features of this era. Meanwhile, in Asia, civilizations were making their own transformative contributions. In China, successive dynasties such as the Zhou, Qin, and Han advanced technology, literature, philosophy, and governance. The invention of paper, early forms of printing, the compass, and gunpowder revolutionized human life and facilitated global connections centuries before Europe's rise. Philosophical traditions such as Confucianism and Taoism shaped social order, ethics, and governance in ways that endured for millennia. India, too, produced enduring intellectual and cultural contributions. The Indus Valley had laid the groundwork, but later civilizations developed sophisticated mathematics, astronomy, and spiritual philosophies, while large empires such as the Maurya and Gupta facilitated trade, education, and cultural exchange. The expansion of trade networks further accelerated cultural diffusion. The Silk Road, stretching from China to the Mediterranean, became a conduit not only for silk, spices, and precious metals but also for ideas, religions, technologies, and artistic traditions. Buddhism traveled from India to East Asia, paper and gunpowder moved westward, Greek philosophy mingled with Persian and Indian thought. This era demonstrated that human civilizations, though geographically distant, were increasingly interconnected. Merchants, travelers, and emissaries became the carriers of culture, creating a web of interaction that laid the groundwork for globalization centuries later. Religion became a powerful unifying and guiding force across these growing civilizations. The rise of Buddhism, Christianity, and Islam reshaped societies, providing ethical frameworks, social cohesion, and avenues for political legitimacy. Temples, churches, and mosques were not just places of worship, they were centers of learning, administration, and community life. Religion provided meaning in uncertain times and legitimacy to rulers, while also inspiring art, literature, and architecture that continues to influence the world today. By the end of this period, humanity had achieved something remarkable, the creation of expansive empires and interconnected cultures that spanned continents. Ideas, technologies, and traditions were no longer confined to local regions but flowed across borders, influencing societies in distant lands. Empires had risen and fallen, yet the knowledge and innovations they left behind endured. Cities flourished, trade networks expanded, and philosophical, scientific, and religious ideas transformed the way humans understood themselves and their place in the world. This era set the stage for further transformation, as civilizations approached an age in which human innovation, exploration, and ambition would accelerate faster than ever before. Humanity had moved beyond simple survival and local governance. It was now shaping the world on a global scale, leaving a legacy that continues to define modern civilization. The pace of human history accelerated dramatically after the Middle Ages, as societies entered periods of unprecedented change and innovation. The Renaissance, beginning in the 14th century in Europe, marked a cultural rebirth that challenged long-held beliefs and celebrated human potential. Art, science, literature, and philosophy flourished as scholars revisited classical knowledge from Greece and Rome while making revolutionary discoveries of their own. Visionaries such as Leonardo da Vinci and Galileo Galilei reshaped how humanity understood the natural world, demonstrating that observation, experimentation, and reason could reveal truths that were previously considered divine or mysterious. The Renaissance was not just an intellectual movement, it signaled the emergence of a more questioning, curious, and ambitious humanity, ready to reshape its environment and destiny. Soon after, the age of exploration connected continents in ways that had never before been possible. European explorers ventured across the oceans, establishing trade routes and colonies in the Americas, Africa, and Asia. This era of discovery brought unprecedented wealth and knowledge to Europe, but it also came with conquest, exploitation, and cultural upheaval. Indigenous civilizations were displaced, enslaved, or annihilated, and global trade networks began to link goods, ideas, and populations on a scale never seen before. Spices, silk, gold, and silver flowed across oceans, and with them came new knowledge, technologies, and cultural influences. Humanity was no longer isolated by geography, people, goods, and ideas were circulating on a planetary scale, creating a truly global civilization for the first time. The Industrial Revolution, which began in the late 18th century, transformed society even more fundamentally. Mechanized production replaced manual labor, factories sprouted across cities, and populations shifted from rural areas to urban centers. Steam engines, spinning machines, and later electricity revolutionized industry, transportation, and communication. With this technological surge came both opportunity and challenge. New jobs and economies flourished, yet working conditions were often harsh, and social inequality intensified. Urbanization transformed landscapes and societies alike, creating densely populated cities that became centers of innovation, commerce, and culture. The Industrial Revolution also marked the beginning of humanity's ability to manipulate nature on a massive scale, from deforestation to mining, altering ecosystems and resources in ways never experienced before. The 20th century pushed these transformations to a global scale, delivering both unprecedented progress and catastrophic destruction. Two world wars reshaped political boundaries, economies, and ideologies. New technologies, including automobiles, airplanes, nuclear energy, and telecommunications, transformed daily life and the nature of conflict. Simultaneously, movements for civil rights, independence, and gender equality redefined social structures, giving voice to millions who had been historically marginalized. Science and medicine advanced rapidly, increasing life expectancy, reducing disease, and reshaping human understanding of biology and the cosmos. Humanity, for the first time, had the power to alter the world in ways both constructive and devastating. By the latter half of the 20th century, the digital revolution began to change everything once again. Computers, the internet, and digital communication transformed how people access information, conduct business, and interact socially. Borders became less relevant as knowledge and culture flowed freely across continents. Globalization connected economies, politics, and societies in a tightly woven network, allowing innovations in one part of the world to ripple across the globe almost instantaneously. Education, media, and culture became accessible to unprecedented numbers of people, fundamentally altering how humanity shared ideas and built communities. Today, humanity stands at a unique point in history. Artificial intelligence, biotechnology, and space exploration are opening possibilities that once existed only in science fiction. Challenges such as climate change, inequality, and technological disruption test our ability to adapt, just as early humans faced the unpredictability of survival millennia ago. Yet the same spirit that led humans from small hunter-gatherer bands to sprawling empires, from the Renaissance to the digital age, continues to drive progress. The history of civilization is a story of constant transformation, of adaptation and innovation, of triumph and failure. It is the story of humanity shaping the world while being shaped by it, a continuous narrative that stretches from ancient fire and stone tools to modern skyscrapers, satellites, and 4K screens. In reflecting on this journey, it becomes clear that the modern world is not an endpoint but a stage in an ongoing process. Every revolution, empire, or discovery has built upon the achievements of previous generations, creating layers of knowledge, culture, and technology that define who we are today. From the first agricultural settlements to the interconnected global society of the 21st century, human civilization has been driven by curiosity, creativity, and the desire to overcome limitations. The past informs the present, and the present shapes the future. In every corner of the globe, from the remnants of ancient cities to the digital networks of today, the history of humanity continues to unfold, complex, remarkable, and ever-evolving. Humanity's story is far from finished. It is a living timeline, an ongoing experiment in survival, innovation, and understanding, and the next chapters will be written by the choices we make today.